The birth of a better world is not ultimately up to you. You are a black boy, and you must be responsible for your body in a way that other boys cannot know. Indeed, you must be responsible for the worst actions of other black bodies, for the bodies of the powerful, and the women around you must be responsible for their bodies in a way that they will never know. Question: do you agree or disagree with Coates' thinking here? Why or why not? Want to take a jab at that, Dean?
I struggle with that. You know,
Why?
Birth of a Better World is up to us.
You sound like my son.
The Birth of a Better World is up to us, but the world is more complicated than it just simply being up to us. You know?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of factors that play into the world that we'll never have control over, which is sad. But I can understand how he says it's not ultimately up to his son, because he's just a boy who's got to try to survive in the world.
Right.
And you must be responsible for your body in a way that other boys cannot. Yeah, you do have to be responsible for your body. And the world will never see things in your perspective wholly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the world will never share your full perspective and be able to know the things that you are capable of trying to take on in order to live your life the way you need to survive. And I don't know that you must be responsible for the worst actions of other black bodies. I don't know how one person can claim the responsibility for people who are not themselves, or you can't really take responsibility for your entire community. I think that's too much to put on an individual. It's too much, because society is a rough place, and to the degree that you contribute to the problems is all the responsibility that you can take for a situation. But it's not up to you to take responsibility for the actions of other people. And of course,
Well, actually, what I think he means by that is if you look at the fear that other people sometimes have of black people and what that fear leads them to do. Like if you think of a Trayvon Martin just walking through the neighborhood with Skittles and a hoodie, trying to go visit wherever his father was hanging out. And a George Zimmerman who saw this black teen, in a hoodie, and all of his prejudices and all of his fears about black people rose to the surface and resulted in the death of Trayvon Martin. And so in that sense, Trayvon is responsible. There are some black people that you should be afraid of.
Okay.
And so in that sense, Trayvon is paying the price
for misconception.
All the black bodies that he's got no control over.
Yeah. We do have a role in trying to control our stereotypes and misconceptions, but we ultimately can't control the entirety of society, however they choose to see somebody.
Right.
We do have a role. We have a control in diminishing some of the ways we're perceived.
Right.
But there are stereotypes. But honestly, let's be real. There's stereotypes against every single people in the entire world. Getting rid of a stereotype is very difficult.
Right.
But you're put in a box.
Right. So, but I agree with you completely. about us all having some responsibility for making this a better world, but that it's not our individual personal responsibility to do the job, alone. Nobody has to be a savior
Right.
or a martyr,
Right.
but unless individuals are willing to take some responsibility for the world we have, we'll continue to go around in the circles that we've been going around in.
Not individuals. Whole industries have to take responsibility for the way images are marketed to people.
Yeah.
The masses are controlled by the corporations. Like, perceptions are controlled by organizations that have either a financial gain in making us look a certain way or helping us.
Right, but corporations are
not responsible in general.
Corporations are run by people.
Right.
So, Venita, did you have a perspective on that question?
Yes, I do believe that each individual person has responsibility to make the world a better place, not only for themselves, but for everyone, period. And you're 100% correct, Dean, that you're not going to be able to change how people feel. You're not going to be able to change the prejudiceness, the stereotypes, the biasness. However, you as an individual can project the image that you want people to see.
Right.
And as far as corporations are concerned, of course, there's images put out of us all the time that, stereotypes. But one thing I can say is we can't stop it, but we can't control it because we're consumers. We're consumers. For those folks that are putting out those images, Empire, and I can think of a host of other ones. There may be other industries that are putting stereotypes on black folk. Like the only time you may see us, and I remember years ago, is that way if we weren't cleaning a toilet with some clean product or then don't buy those products. All the brown people need to stop buying those products.
Yeah, and black folks used to get together and protest, when about those kinds of images.
Yes.
The black community is broken.
It's almost like now black people are turning their heads. I don't know what else they're doing because I haven't seen any progress. But they're turning their heads to these things. Empire, we had a big discussion about that in our other book group. A very important discussion that your mother, of course, presented. And excuse me, why are you watching it? Why are you viewing that on television? National Geographic still shows birds flying through the air. Quite frankly, I love it. So you don't have to watch it. When you're patronizing these stereotypes yourself, then how are you going to turn around and tell me that you got a problem with it? Apparently not. I don't care if it's entertainment. You can find another form of entertainment. You go read a book and be entertained. You can sit and do nothing and be entertained. Take some yoga, but you don't have to watch that. So I do believe unless we take control, and that's where the we come in, we do carry the weight of our whole race on our shoulder, whether you want to or not.
Right.
The weight is there. It's not going anywhere. And you're not going to be able to reject it because you're not going to be able to survive if you reject it. So you might as well face it, recognize it, and deal with it accordingly because, it's there. You're carrying the whole weight. And that's why Trayvon Martin is dead, because he inadvertently was carrying the whole weight of the race on his shoulders.
Some people don't know how to carry the whole weight of their entire people on their shoulders.
Well, I'm sorry.
You got to be ready to carry that weight in order to really do anything with that weight.
No, listen to Venita.
Dean, I said inadvertently you are carrying that weight. I didn't say you asked for it. I didn't say you wanted it. I said inadvertently you are carrying that weight. Recognize it and deal with it because you're not going to be able to survive. This is what this is about. Recognizing it and dealing with it. Because it's not going anywhere, whether you want it or not.
Right.
So that's what this is about. And I'm just saying that as far as the images that's projected of us, the untrue stereotypes, There's a lot of stereotypes they show on television. I don't know people like that. I don't know about you, but I do not know personally people like that.
Right.
Don't patronize them. Don't watch those programs. Don't buy those products. I clean with vinegar and water. I don't have any toxins. It cleans windows. It cleans toilets. It cleans everything. And I don't need not one cleaning product in my house to clean anything other than vinegar and water. And last I checked, I didn't see any stereotypes on the vinegar commercial. Actually, don't even have any. So there's a way to deal with those issues. I'm just giving you examples, of how to deal with those issues and how to, unite and stop saying that I'm powerless instead of saying I am powerful.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Dean, what do you think about the idea of absentee fathers being cowards?
I think they are cowards. I think they're very cowardly. I think that any man who brings somebody into the world owes that child everything. I think that being a good father starts with every day, one day at a time. If your mother has the courage to be there, so should your father. Two people. It takes like Grandma always said, it takes a village to raise a child. And no two people can handle it on their own. I think it requires an entire community of people to really be invested in the growth and development of people. If you want their perceptions to be, if you don't want society to control their entire perception, you have to control their perception. It's my job to raise him and control his perceptions until he's ready to develop his own. Fathers have to be around.
I agree, but I wonder what you're thinking about the part that comes right after that. I also felt that the galaxy was playing with loaded dice, which ensured an excess of cowards in our ranks. What do you think about that?
The game is rigged. I agree. The game is rigged against us. He's talking about all the people in the society who've decided that prison should be the place where black people are instead of at home with their parents, at home with their children. The prison industrial complexes, and the reason why we have we have more people in prison right now than any country in the world. Any country in the world you can look at, they have less people in prison than us.
Yeah.
So I agree. And I'm not giving people a pass who commit crimes, but I'm saying some of the crimes don't deserve the excessive times that the universe has given them.
Mm-hmm.
There's people in jail right now for petty drug offenses that have life. That have life without the possibility of parole.
But what I hear you saying is that parents, men and women,
right,
should do whatever they have to do to be there for their children by any means necessary.
You should.
Venita, any thoughts here?
I agree. However, since there are a host of reasons why black men are absent from their children's lives, it's not just the ones that don't care. There's not the ones that are in jail.
Mm-hmm.
There's some that are dead. There's some that are sick. There's some that are crippled. As an individual, what can you do? As an individual, what can you do for that child, for whatever reason it may be? Because we already established that fact, so we got to move on from that. What can you do as an individual to help elevate that child so that child has a sense of self-worth, which is valuable, not only to themselves but to community? What could you do?
As Dean says, it takes a village.
They may have a missing father, okay? We all know how important it is for little girls to have fathers. What could an individual man that feels strongly about parenting do for maybe a little girl that has a father that's not there, for whatever reason it may be?
Right. There's no shame in
so what I'm saying is that what I'm saying is rather we know these things are happening. We've established that fact. It's been going on forever and a day.
Mhm.
We're not going to change it by necessarily just first organizing people, because that may not ever happen too. So as an individual, in order to form that small village, it has to start out with you doing your part. And if most folks, it's not going to be everyone. It's never everyone for anything. Let's put it that way.
Mhm.
Do their part, then maybe you relate to that little boy that their father's not there for whatever reason it is. Maybe you can project a good image for him, explain some things to him. A little girl that that's missing. That's going to that mother that daughter and daddy dance, but no daddy to dance. I mean, it's just a whole lot. I just say that it definitely does start with the individual person, because if you wait for things to be organized, nothing will never get started. Nothing will ever be accomplished, because it takes too long to do that, and that might not happen, Dean.
Mm.
And that goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, where Coates was saying to his son, you are not responsible, and we were all saying, well, yeah, really,
Right.
you are.
You are. I don't understand that. Maybe I'm just not comprehending what the message he was trying to convey to the reader.
That's what I thought, but really, I think we are comprehending it.
I'm just trying to get the benefit of the doubt.
And I think, like, if you think about this passage here of absentee fathers that he's talking about, and then juxtapose that with the conclusion at the end that you are not responsible, son, for solving all of the world's problems, I do think that's exactly what he's saying. Just like he's saying here,
Right.
that he understands that there is this cosmic an excess of cowards in our ranks, and juxtapose that with you are not responsible for saving the world, that you've got to save yourself as a black boy. I do think that's what he's saying. I just think either he didn't think it through fully, or maybe I just fundamentally disagree with his conclusion, because we are playing with a deck that's stacked against us.
Right.
Yeah, you do have a special burden moving through the world as a black boy that other boys do not have and do not know. But of course, I'm from that generation that still taught, well, that just means you got to be twice as good and work twice as hard. And so, you also got to save the world while you save your own black ass.
There you go. And mind you, that the black man, although this is what we're talking about now, is not the only young man that has to deal with this.
Mm-mm.
In Asia, a child that's maybe a Pakistani has to deal with this. A little Jewish boy has to deal with this. And I know, because I have had the pleasure, because I do have quite a few friends that are of the Jewish religion, that they do feel like it's his responsibility.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And they never forget. That's
How?
that is their they never forget.
They never forget. It's your responsibility.
To save your community?
Excuse me?
Responsibility to save your community?
Well, to do your part to make this a better world,
A better world. Do your part.
Right.
Now, do your part. Michelle and I were talking the other night, and I felt my biggest contribution to the world was raising my two sons.
Mm-hmm.
Giving 150%, like your mother gave 150% to you.
Mm-hmm.
But now that I've done that, my work's not over. That wasn't my only rent that I had to pay for living here, for being on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? And their only rent, that's not their only rent for them to pay they survived. So no, it's your. I feel like it's your responsibility. Now, Coates may feel like it's not his son's responsibility.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna try to make it colorful and pretty or make excuses. Maybe that's exactly what he meant. You save you and only save you and keep it moving. I'm just saying.
People have a responsibility, but people differ in their responsibility.
Yeah.
People differ greatly in the level of responsibility that they owe the world,
or that we're able to give,
or that we're able to give, because of the slanted rules against us.
Yeah.
Well, there's no rule that's saying to me, against me, that if I go down to any school, no matter where it is, and say I want to volunteer as a mentor for a child to read.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean,
it's just, you know, you can do whatever you can do to contribute to saving the world. But to say that I'm not responsible, I'm just saved me, or I just saved my son, and then my work is done, it's not rational. It's just not rational, because every year the earth renews itself, and that's for a reason. The leaves fall off, new leaves come, because it's constant work.
That's why I want to believe that's a poorly written sentence. You